This was sent to me as a Facebook message on the Comet's Curse fan pages. He identified himself as Colin, and he said he was doing a report on the Comet's Curse, and he had a few questions. Most of them were the typical questions, like how long did it take for you to write it, and how much do you get paid? Kids always ask that question. But here was the best question. He added, since there are no adults on the ship, why do the kids work so hard? I guess it occurred to Colin that if there are no adult, there's no adult supervision on the ship, why isn't it just one big party in space? I wrote a note back to Colin, and I asked if he'd actually read the book. I give him credit. He fessed up, and he goes, well, no, he wrote back. He said it's his best friend's all-time favorite book, and she encouraged him to do his report on it. And I think she had told him all about it. She's like a living Cliff's Notes or Spark Notes. Right? So I suggested that he try reading the book and see if he could answer the question. And I am going to give this kid credit. A week later, he wrote back to me and he said, if they didn't work, they wouldn't eat and they would die. We call that an aha moment. This email from Brandy made me laugh. I'm writing to you because it is our homework assignment to interview an author. I have 11 questions for you. Oh, wait, it gets better. Please answer these in the next hour because it's due tomorrow and I'm too tired to stay up late. It's due tomorrow and I'm too tired to stay up late. Question number 4 was, what do you think makes a good book? Wow, what a question. What makes a good book? That is a simple and yet very profound question. And I think we will all agree that when you're 10, your answer to that question is going to be drastically different than when you're 30, when you're 40, and when you're 50. What makes a good book? That's really what it all comes down to. Isn't that why we're all here today? Good books. I wrote back to Brandy and I gave her my opinion, but of course, you know me, I had to pull it out of her. What's your answer to that question? Here's what she wrote back, and if you're an aspiring writer of young adult books, pay attention. She says, a good book, one that I can tell my friends about and they will want to read it too. Okay, simple, right? That's not rocket science. It's not complicated. A good book is like beauty, right? It's in the eye of the beholder, but it's usually one that we want to convince someone else to read. The best compliment that I've ever received as an author came at a book signing for my second book. A parent came up to me. It was a gentleman, and he told me, he said, my son hated reading until he read your first book. He read it in 2 days. That is the greatest compliment an author of young adult books can ever receive. And think about how powerful that is, and also realize, all of us who are involved in books, that young man did not hate reading. The dad immediately says, oh, son always hated reading until he read your book. No, he didn't. And he wouldn't have just magically thrown a switch. What he hated was the stuff that he was reading. That's pretty obvious, but it doesn't dawn on people. I think we make this harder than it is sometimes. To wrap it all up, here is an email from Dylan. He's a 6th grader in North Carolina. And he wrote to me and he said, I didn't like to read until your book. I'm going to write a book too. Would you buy it? You know, and of course the only response you can send back is, yes, Dylan, I will buy your book.